everyone, it's Constance with BodyTx Massage and Health. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about pain and how it can progress to quite a significant issue in people's lives. Chronic pain is definitely one of the largest symptoms that people experience in the world. And so I just wanted to talk about a little bit about sort of the initial phase and how it can progress to quite a significant experience for someone. So I'm just going to use the board here to show a bit of a visual. And we're going to talk about sort of pain over a period of a year. So we have the 0 months here, 6 months, and then 12 months here. And we'll say that the pain experience happened right here. Say, for example, it was a car accident or even just sleeping wrong one night, just not having and having some pain as a result. So the first 6 months we call what is called the acute phase. And during this period, this is where we feel the physical, actual pain. So we've got a pain in the neck or our back is hurting, but we also start to do a little bit of postural restructuring a bit. So for example, if you did sleep funny and your neck is sore the next day, sometimes we will protect that neck and just sort of hike up the shoulder a little bit, which then affects the back. And so we start to kind of not be structurally the way we normally are before the pain experience. Then at the 6-month point, going to about the 10-month point, we have what's called the chronic phase. And here is where the pain has settled in, the injury is there for sure. It's starting to affect other aspects of our life. So sometimes we're not sleeping very well. Sometimes we have anxiety about it, just starting to get really anxious about whether we're able to do something. Say if we want to go on a canoe trip or go skiing, we aren't too sure about how our knee is going to hold out. That's starting to set in. And then also with that is stress. So you can already see how it becomes from a physical thing, starts to affect other aspects of our life. And then in the 10 to 12 month phase, we get into what's called the intractable phase. And here, it's really starting to set in as to it really starts to envelop other aspects of our life. Sometimes people experience depression here. They feel like it's debilitating, that they'll never get out of it, that it's going to be how life will be forever, that there's no way of getting healed. And even sometimes it affects the social side of things too. People won't go out, say for example, on that canoe trip or the ski trip because they just really don't want to be around people. And that, this is how it is for me for a long time. I don't think I'll ever be healed. And so that's why I wanted to mention this, is we get from the point of sort of a physical situation, mostly just physical. Then we start adding in other aspects such as, a lack of sleep. We start to get tired, we're stressed, we're anxious. And then it starts to get into more of an emotional, social side of things, where it really starts to affect our life. And the way that this graph goes is from the pain experience here, it starts to climb. And our risk of getting to this point gets higher and higher. So just keep in mind when there's a painful situation that's taken place, that our chances of it affecting more aspects of our life, if we don't have it addressed, gets greater. And while we talk about that risk aspect, there's also sort of another diagram that I find very useful for visual. And that's in regard to our belief in being able to do activity. So if we initially injure ourselves, we know that maybe we need to take a break, take a rest from that. Say for example, you're playing soccer and you've injured your knee or your calf and you're like, I'm not too sure how I'll be able to play for the next few days, but down the road it'll be okay. before we're injured, in our minds, we have sort of this ability of our belief in being able to do activity. So this is doing activity, and our belief in doing activity. So for example, if we have really want to be able to touch our toes, our belief, before injury, we usually have a pretty strong sense of belief of being able to at least try and maybe accomplish it, but at least trying it. And that's what we call is the buffer, in terms of actually being able to do and believing that we can do. It's quite minimal. We don't have any sort of restraints around it. We don't have any emotional issues attached to it. But then after, if we have injured ourselves, say for example our hamstring, and then we're thinking about touching our toes, that buffer of what we believe we can accomplish activity-wise, so whether we believe that we can touch our toes, that buffer gets to be way, 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 way bigger over time. So our sense of being able to do things that we maybe aren't able to do yet, but we want to try, that gets larger and larger, farther and farther away in terms of being able to believe that we can do that. So again, in regards to pain, that pain hampers our system of belief and trusting ourselves, and we start to protect ourselves with that too, in that, I've injured my hamstring, I'll never be able to touch my toes. And it goes along with that graph that I first showed, which is, intractable phase, where we believe that we can't get there and we won't ever be able to do it. That's the same concept, is that we won't be able to actually achieve activities that maybe we used to be able to do before. So again, keep that in mind when it comes to pain, in terms of us being able to address that with regard to massage or acupuncture. We can see anyone at any phase. It's just that it's very highly recommended to not let it sit for too long. Start addressing it as soon as you can, and then it's not such a big impactful aspect onto your life, hopefully. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll talk soon.